I'll be showing you a bit of later. Whereas now we have pneumatic air drills, it speeds the process up, but does create other problems. We still do use black powder. I'll explain why later. Now the particularly hazardous bit was the candles and the black powder bit. Doesn't like it. Now this thing you can see in front of you that looks like it should be in a Fred Flintstone cartoon is actually what's known as a clog cart. What you do is you'll stick your big clogs on that and you push them out to day, which is how the miners refer to outside. Well, I said that we mine on levels. Well, it's not actually level. It's sloped very slightly down towards the door. So slight you won't notice as you walk in, but enough to make it easier to push these. But not so much that you run away, because if you look, the tunnel is only just wider than the clog cart lines. So if a 4-ton lump of rock came hurtling down there, you lot would have to turn around and run. We'd be alright here. But you won't be pleased still, that's the only one on the level and it's not going anywhere. Now we still use these today, much to the surprise of a gentleman recently, who was amazed we use such crude contraptions. Well, we've got very little choice. Our tunnels are too small for forklifts and other lifting equipment. And now we've got a little battery powered train to pull it, it makes life a lot easier. You're lucky to work in here for very long without a big lump of rock falling on your head. Such as these. They're called footy ends, and they still are slate. Now the problem with those are they're not connected to a great deal. I'll explain why now. If you look behind you, and above that gentleman's head, you can see there's a flat crack that runs that way. Well, they repeat randomly all the way to the roof. And also, you mentioned earlier, one of you two, that you can see orange bits. Well, that's there's one there. So they're cracks again. They're running that way. So you've effectively got a checkerboard effect of cracks. Which means that the rock isn't connected very well to its neighbour. Well, also, the slate isn't stuck very well to the roof. I'll show you what the roof is later. So that means you've got lumps of rock that can weigh anything up to 1/4 of a tonne that are not connected to a great deal. And 1/4 of a tonne lands on you, what are you? You're a splat. You're a splat, make a horrible mess, but yeah, you're dead. Now if one knows us to start to fall now and hear it, a slate grating on slate kind of noise. Although we do have a piece of paper to say they won't fall, I don't know if anyone's told those in yet. And if you heard it, you'd realise very quickly what it was and make the appropriate action, which most of the time is run. Which is good, because we're all nice and warm, aren't we, today? It's not particularly cold outside. It's a steady 52 degrees or 10 degrees in here regardless. But if it was cold outside, spent a night out in the buffet, not with sleeping bags or anything of such, probably a blanket, something like that. You weren't wearing the sophisticated clothing like we are wearing today. You've done it, you come in and out for a few days, you'd be very cold, you'd be near hypothermic. Which means your reaction time would slow down, which means you wouldn't be able to dodge the rock as well. Now if you look in front of you or behind you, depending which way you're looking, you can see this rather impressive dry stone wall. Well, that's called a plateau. Now, how old are you two?
11.
Brilliant. We needed some new 11-year-olds. The last one grew up. These would be built by boys aged from 11 upwards, like yourself, and they'd follow their fathers, grandfathers into the mine, and their job was to muck out. That means getting rid of waste rock, which is about 90% of it, so you've got a fairly big line. There's two things you do with it. Chuck it down the hillside, build plateaus out of it. And also, you're not being paid the same as the rest of the miners, you're being paid pocket money, extra sandwich at lunch, that kind of deal. Now, as the level of mining went up, so did these plateaus, and then you just drop ladders on the top and drill and blast. Now, I still use these today as much as we can because modern scaffolding does not like big lumps of rock falling on it. It bends, buckles and breaks. Whereas this stuff's not 100%, which means we're running out of rock to build plateaus out of. So we are having to begin to use scaffolding. Now before we go any further, did anyone bring a canary with them? Haven't we got a canary?
What is dead?
Oh dear. I'll explain what canaries do and why we don't need them later. Those who don't know. Now if you want to make your way down. Is that everyone? Yeah. Right, welcome to Fiddlers. A much larger and a much nicer named cabin. Named Fiddlers after two gentlemen that used to enjoy playing the fiddle. Well, it wasn't really just a hobby for them, in a way it was part of their job. I'll explain why now. The way this mine worked until the mid-1960s was men would form a company, that's a group of 4 or 5. They would then negotiate a bargain, that's how much to get paid for their slate powder. We still use it today. Explosives like TNT, dynamite, nitroglycerine, C4, gelignite, all the other modern high-tech explosives are all far too powerful. Much better for coal mining, big pieces. So you don't want anything very powerful, so we still use black powder. Today we get our charges pre-made, they come in a plastic wrapper. That's to stop them getting damp and also they're a bit safer to handle, not so prone to sparks. But originally you'd get a piece of cartridge paper or greaseproof paper, roll it up into a sausage, have the grease fold over the end. You then pour a set amount of powder into it, have the grease fold over the end. So you've got a little stick. Now you've obviously got to get your stick to the back of the hole. So you've got to push it in with a bar. You would not use a steel drilling bar like this. Anyone know why? Sparks, yeah. Fairly safe to say, if that went bang, I'm dead. Which is obviously bad for your health. You don't want to kill yourself putting your powder in. So, we still do use today brass or copper rod. They don't contain iron, which is what the main ingredient of steel is. And brass and copper do not create sparks, which has got to be better for your health. So then you need a fuse. The fuse we use today will burn a foot in 3 minutes. If I had a length that long, we'd all be outside, wouldn't we? What have we got there? About 3, 6, about 20 minutes, something like that. At 20 minutes we'd all be outside. Most of us would be down at the bottom having a coffee. How far down there do you think you could be in 8 seconds?
Not very.
Not very, it gets worse yet. It gets much worse yet. Now, fuse technology progressed very quickly. It had to. A bit of war, that kind of stuff speeds the process up. I'm going to talk about the early fuses they were using 200 years ago, because they're the most interesting. Now at the time, the farmers down in the valley were growing wheat and barley, which means you have straw. So the children in the valley, their job for a boiled sweet and that kind of thing was to collect big bundles of long dry straw. Obviously the longer the better, you don't want to draw the short straw. Now straw is hollow down the middle with little segments, little breaks. So you find out which is the longest segment, break it above and below the knuckle. So again you've got a tube with a bottom. You then pour your powder into the straw. It's not the straw that does the burning, the straw's just there to hold it all together. You then store these fuses in a metal container with a screw lid. That stops them getting wet. Wet straw, wet powder does not burn. Stops them getting broken. If you snap it in half, the charge would go bang and all the gas would go straight out the end. The way black powder and most other explosives work is when they go off, they actually burn. That was even before the dinosaurs were on the Earth. The dinosaurs were only on the Earth about the last 3 million years ago. This area was down by the equator, and it was called the Borrowdale Volcanics. It was a volcanic region, and when volcanoes go off, you get a huge amount of dust. Slowly very sharp. You roll down there to cut you to shreds. It's 70 foot to the bottom of there, and I might upset some of you at this point. What you're stood on is not solid. A couple of nervous laughs. It's a plateau, like in the rat trap. But if you have a bounce up and down, it feels very solid. That's because imagine it's the same width at the bottom as it is up here. How many millions of tons of rock do you think there is?
About 100, 200, 300.
It's a bit like one of those things at a fairground where it says, guess the amount of jelly beans in the bottle. You don't know, do you?
A lot.
It also allows you to have a good, not want to upset what's holding the mountain up. Well, not what is stuck underneath it. Now originally they mined in on that level, and then there's they followed the slate up, they built the plateau up, and then they started taking it out of this level. Easier than manhandling big lumps of rock down there. And all this stuff you can see at the side, that is still slate. Our slate seam runs at 30 degrees from probably well below the bottom, all the way up to the top. Constant band. Round the back of the swimming pool. Look this, it's well filtered. If you want to swim, feel free. I must tell you it is non-heated. So I'd imagine it's icy cold. I've not fallen in yet, fortunately. No. Although we could go down to the bottom here, and then taken out, loaded onto the aerial flight, taken down to the bottom. Now there was a span, that's between the two towers, on the aerial flight of 700 feet. About 120 to 200 metres-ish. Now the men weren't supposed to ride on. Well, we're at 1250 feet here. But most of the people come down at the bottom. Worse if you have to wait too much.